What are the, like looking at people-centered leadership, what are the qualities of that? If you were to break it down, what are some of the core attributes that you feel are embodied within a person who's a people-centered leader? What do you aspire to in that way that you've had to sort of really pivot to? Like, what does that optimal people-centered leader look like, and why is that important?
Yeah. I mean, people centered can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. I think there is, I know I've talked a lot about this in, in my development. I think one of the biggest things that has helped me along with being more people centered is actually having kids. I find going through, for those who don't have kids, like when you go through kids, it's like you learn to have patience. You learn to have to be a better communicator for them. You truly learn what it is like to really care for somebody and wanting to see the best of their development. But you also learn that you need to be very strict with them at some periods of time, right? Because if they go and run and do their own thing, yeah, they're gonna have fun, they're gonna have a great time, but they're not gonna develop into the little humans you want them to develop, right? And in that, you got to say, no, you're not going to get chocolate tonight. No, no junk food. No, we need to sit down and brush our teeth. The reason why I think about that a lot with becoming a people centered leader, I want my people to feel good. I want them to feel appreciated. I want them to feel valued. But through the process, I found I need to give them clear feedback. I need to challenge them. I need to help them along, even when they're not performing at their best. Sit there with it. Right. So, one of the biggest things that I've really tried to really pay attention to is when I see a leader that's having a difficult time in their role or is not coming in 100% focused, like what do I need to do to make them understand it's okay, but help them come up with the realization, okay, there is a little bit of a block on myself that I'm not performing to where I need to be or not doing the things I need to do to be successful. I feel like that's more people focused leadership. It's making them feel valued, having empathy for them, caring about their career growth, and making sure that they feel heard. But I also do think the other side of it is I want to make sure that they are being challenged. I want to make sure that they're getting the proper feedback that they need to continue to develop. And I want to make sure that I'm continuously pushing as well. And it's a fine balance, right? And it's really hard to know that when you're striking that balance. And to be honest, some days I don't know if I'm striking the right balance. Some days I'll go into work and I'm like, I was really too hands off. I was too laid back. I was just too kind. I didn't give enough feedback. Or then there's sometimes I'm just like, oh, maybe I was too direct. Maybe I give too much information. I think a part of the process of, and I nowhere think I'm completed my journey in in leadership is that I'm going to continue to trial and fail with it throughout my years in this role. And I embrace those challenges. I embrace the learning process and learning curve, right? Because when I picture myself as a leader, I don't think I'm incapable from growing in myself as leadership. And I also don't think of myself as perfect person. And I always continue to want to get better and develop.
When I look at my experience with raising kids, there's just so much humility that came out of it and so much realization of how much my habits influence my actions and continuously having to sort of rein that back. And I think to your point, just really being focused on how can I best support this individual? How can I best serve this person? How can I take care of them in the best way possible? And what I'm hearing there is both from a how did they feel cared for, and then how do they feel like they're growing? And it's really interesting is you don't really know what the optimal answer is, but coming in with that openness and curiosity and that opportunity just to allow yourself to be reflective and embrace the fact you don't know, I think as you share it, that usually sets me up to just offering the best advice that I can or just not saying anything because maybe that's not being called for. And it's interesting you talk about that transparency. I think sometimes being people centered can come across as just being really, really nice. When in reality, yeah, we do need to create that culture where people feel safe, that there is that sense of cohesion, that they feel valued. And there's also this reality of just being very clear and transparent and open. And it can be uncomfortable, right? And that's part of being human. I'm hearing like a lot of talk around human centered leadership, right? And it sort of meshes with, I think, this idea of people centered leader that it's like, okay, well, how do we understand the fact that we are humans and how do we lead from that space?